Today, it's all about hemp and CBD and cannabinoids and what is this all about? It's going to be a short video. I'm just going to touch some high points here, no pun intended, but certainly there are volumes written about each one of these categories. I'm not going to assume to be able to delve too deeply into any one of them. But again, what I'm going to do is just give you kind of a primer to help differentiate some of these categories. I know there's some confusion around what is cannabis, what is hemp, how much THC can we sell in retail, and is THC in the retail products? So I will get into all of that and more. We're 1 minute to the hour. Oh, it just turned the official 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Again, welcome. My name is Julie Dennis Fox, and I will be your host today. I know many of you work in the retail stores, and for those that do work in the retail stores, you are more than welcome to email me directly for your complimentary 1 ounce canna joint relief. That's going to be for the people who are joining live today. And I'll show you what that email is in a moment. I'm going to take myself off the video, so it's just a little awkward for me. So we can just focus on the information. Thank you so much, all of you, for being here. I know time is precious, so let's get on it. This is your email. It's customer service at Canna Joint Relief. This is what you email for your complimentary 1 ounce Canna Joint Relief for those that are attending the live broadcast. A disclaimer, I am not here to treat, cure, or mitigate disease. And in fact, I am not a practitioner. So I always suggest people work with their qualified healthcare practitioner before making any changes to your health protocols. That being said, let's talk about cannabis. You know, I've been studying herbal medicine literally since I was 15 years old and started working in a health food store at that age. And certainly with all these years of studying herbal medicine, I naturally would come upon the history of cannabis. It has been around for a long time in all of its glory. In fact, what you're looking at here, this is an ancient Sanskrit. It's not discussing hemp or cannabis. It's actually just written on hemp paper. Now, hemp was commonly used in the production, for example, of paper since 200 BC. So this is written in ancient text on hemp paper. It's been around that long. And what you're looking at here, this is from 1500 BC. This is the Ebers Papyrus from ancient Egypt, 1500 BC. And what you're seeing here is actually a description for medical marijuana, and it's talking about how it's applied directly to help support a healthy inflammatory response topically. They're talking about medical marijuana or marijuana used topically in this text from 1500 BC, the famous Ebers Papyrus from Egypt. This is the Chinese, traditional Chinese pinyin glyph or image for hemp, and it's the expression of cannabis. It's basically, there's two characters here. There's the first character that means big, and the second character actually is referring to hemp plants underneath a shelter, if you could kind of see that in that image from ancient traditional Chinese herbalism. Even in the United States, it's been around. This is an advertisement for Cannabis Americana, as it was called, Cannabis Americana, and is distributed by a pharmacist in New York in 1917. So all of these years, from the ancient traditions to the United States, it has been in usage. Here you're seeing a photograph of the hemp fields in Kentucky. Now, in the colonial days, if you were a landowner, you legally had to grow hemp. It was that valuable. Our own American flag is made out of hemp fiber. the Declaration of Independence, the first draft of it written on hemp paper. So it's been around here in the United States. What we're looking at here is the extract of cannabis indica from the American Druggist Syndicate. I imagine, I don't see the fine print, but I imagine it's probably for sleep. Cannabis indica is renowned to knock people out in a sort of way. And then this happened. There were a lot of things that conspired, in fact, to make hemp illegal, to make cannabis illegal. One of the things that happened was that cotton became king, cotton and tobacco, king cotton, that became a term. Cotton became king and tobacco, both of those became more profitable than growing hemp. So, follow the money. That's gonna dictate where the crops go, literally. And plus there were other things that came to pass to make this weed, the evil weed. Be careful of, here we see the dope peddlers are shrewd. So anyways, that was just a short sliver of time, and it's back. Hemp is back. It's been around back in retail since the 1990s, and we could thank Manitoba Harvest. You see here, the top left, they are the creators of Hemp Hearts. And they campaigned really hard in the early 90s. It's a Canadian company, Manitoba Harvest. They campaigned through a lot of resources behind the campaign to get hemp legalized here in the United States. They were instrumental. Well, now we see it everywhere in a variety of guises and a variety of ways. It's back on our shelves. Let me break this down. Cannabis, hemp, marijuana, what is this all about? They're intermingled, the terminology, the names. So hemp and marijuana, marijuana is the name we call it here in the West. It goes by a lot of names throughout the world, throughout the ages. So just for convenience sake, I will call it marijuana. But both of these plants are indeed cannabis plants. They look differently and they act on the body differently. I'll show you how. Here again, you're seeing a marijuana plant, and often the growers will grow this plant for what you're seeing here, the buds. You see the leaves out from the stem. At the base of that stem is a floret. That floret is what's called the bud, and that is what is sold in dispensaries and is often high in THC. Grown for that flower bud, sold in dispensaries. It's not going to be sold in retail. And all of the retailers I work for, all of the retailers I partner with that sell my product, Canna Joint Relief, are very smart in how they vetted the products that they will have on shelf. The quality standards of all the retailers that I work with are very high. You will not find marijuana in any of these retailers. You will not see anything pass through that comes from this particular cannabis plant, the marijuana plant. It's high in THC, which is the element that gets people high. Now, hemp, conversely, hemp is low in THC typically. It sometimes has some THC in the plant. I'll get to that in a moment. But hemp, it looks differently. You're not going to see a lot of those big buds, the kind that you find in a dispensary. They're long and stocky. It almost looks like bamboo, the hemp plant. It's tall, it's long, it's lanky. And it's grown for a variety of reasons, for fiber, for seeds. This is what you're going to see in the health food stores. The hemp oil from a variety of vendors, sold in retail stores, higher in CBD and lower in THC, in fact, a lot lower. To be in a retail store, any hemp product, be it a CBD product, an oil, a seed, a fiber, a protein, any of those hemp products that we see in retail may have THC, but it must be lower than 0.3%. And again, all of the retailers I work with, all of my retail partners are of course well aware of this and require uh, certificates of analysis. They require to see the proof that you are compliant, as they should. So of course in my own product, the THC is non-detectable, in fact. Hemp and cannabis. And again, the THC will get us high. It's the CBD that we're looking for in retail, and that's non-psychoactive. Some people claim they feel an effect from CBD, and although I don't know for sure, I surmise that people are feeling the effects of the CBD because it may help reduce anxiety. Sometimes that's all it takes. You reduce that anxiety and all of a sudden your mood is elevated. So they may be equating that with actually feeling some sort of high effect. But we know CBD to be non-psychoactive, unlike THC. Now, CBD and the endocannabinoid system. The endocannabinoid system, it's like a network throughout our bodies of receptor sites. What in fact you're looking at here is a video of the central nervous system. The nervous system is also a network that traverses the whole body from top to bottom to all the extremities to the ends of the fingertips. The endocannabinoid system is similar in that it oversees and helps maintain the health of our appetite, of our pain response, of our mood, memory, reproduction, immunity, pleasure, reward. The endocannabinoid system is acting and helping maintain the health of all of these and more. And what has happened is that we are learning every day about the endocannabinoid system. We're learning more and more every day. It's relatively new to us. Like, we've known about the nervous system for decades, decades and decades. We've known about the immune system for decades, the cardiovascular system, but the endocannabinoid system, relatively new to us, and we're learning things all the time. Emerging research. For example, one of the things that we're learning about how CBD interacts with this endocannabinoid system is that it may act on it's called like a diverse selection of voltage gated sodium channels. These voltage gated sodium channels are actually implicated in fatal forms of epilepsy and associated with chronic pain. Now, this is where the endocannabinoid system and CBD, this is how it's starting to interact according to the emerging research. Again, still so much more to know about how CBD interacts internally, but we certainly do know that it's interacting with this system and overseeing the health of appetite, pain, mood, memory, reproduction, immunity, pleasure, and reward. So it's no wonder that so many people are responding favorably when they start using CBD. Now, what are our CBD options? There are a lot of them. And you and I, we all know that in the natural products industry, new terminology pops up all the time. In fact, since I've put this together, there's 2 new terms that I would add to this list. Some of the options we see here are full spectrum CBD, broad spectrum CBD, isolates. Now I would add activated cannabinoids and raw cannabinoids. Activated cannabinoids are now generally being referred to those cannabinoids, the CBD that has been heated slightly, activating it, turning that CBDA into CBD. It's complicated. And the raw cannabinoids are showing some promise for long-term treatment for chronic conditions. But again, we need more research to really start to differentiate some of these categories. But what I do know is that the full spectrum, it's often being referred to as something, a form of CBD that could support what's called the entourage effect. I'll give you the visual of what that actually means. The entourage effect, it's basically meaning that the chemicals in the plant, in the hemp cannabis plant, the chemicals, and there are hundreds of chemicals in that plant, as there are in almost every plant, the chemicals work best when they are all kept intact. That's what the fans of full spectrum would say. And I happen to agree. So of course I add full spectrum to my product. It's whole plant. It includes virtually the whole plant and includes this range of terpenes and cannabinoids, this full range of chemicals and many more, in fact, including the THC. Full spectrum will have some THC in it, even if it's a minute amount. Now, broad spectrum, I'm seeing some differences of opinion on what we're defining as broad spectrum, but to date, what I mostly hear is that broad spectrum is like full spectrum, but without the THC. And it's that THC that just, in fact, today I was listening to a video from the American Herbal Products Association, and they were talking about Prop 65 for any of you that are familiar with it. But they actually said broad spectrum contains the THC. So, but most people to date have said when you see broad spectrum on a label, you can be assured that it has all of the full range of chemicals, but just not the THC. But keep an eye out. Like I say, this is a relatively new category for all of us. So new information is coming out daily. Now, isolates, what about isolates? You know, isolates undergo a process to really just take out the CBD. You're not going to get a full range of chemicals. But is there benefit to just an isolate? What is the best form here? I'm a fan of all of them. And I'll tell you why. I like full spectrum. I'm an herbalist. This is a no-brainer. I grow plants, a whole variety. I can see vitex from where I sit. I have berries, I have fruits and flowers and whatnot. I love plants in all their glory, in all the chemical constituents they provide. No need to mess that up, right? Well, broad spectrum without the THC, I could see that would be a value for people that really don't want any THC in their product. And isolates, same thing. You're not going to get anything but isolated CBD. Now, am I a fan of isolates, even though I'm an herbalist and loves full spectrum? Yes, I am. And I'm going to give you an example of why. Okay, where I sit, I could see my mason jar filled with water. In that mason jar filled with water, there is a lemon cut in half and squeezed, floating in that mason jar of water. I've been drinking it and filling it, refilling it all day. When I drink that water, it's an extract of lemon at that point. I'm going to get the benefit of all the chemicals found in that lemon, the bioflavonoids, the vitamin C, and the antioxidant support, et cetera, et cetera. There's probably hundreds of different chemicals in the lemon. But I could tell you this, I also take, especially this year, I take a vitamin C supplement, which includes the isolated vitamin C, because I want to up my limit. I want to up the amount of vitamin C I'm getting. So I'm also incorporating both the full spectrum and the isolate.